Today I have a really good topic, which is smart home, and we're going to look at how we can connect certain smart devices to these smart hubs. Chances are you would have got a Google Home or an Amazon Echo, either the big version or the dot version or the Google Mini as your Christmas present this year. So I know you can do a whole lot just with that. You can interact with these hubs. You all know that, if I say, okay, Google, what time is it?
12:08.
So it kind of responds instantly. And the Amazon does it too. I didn't hook that up. But the point of this video is to go one step further and to start automating your home. And I want to show how easy it is to replace a simple switch that controls a light, in this case an exterior light. And I just want to show that replacing this regular switch with one of these smart switches, and then how easy it is to hook it up to a voice controlled hub like Google Home. And then I could just say, hey Google, turn off the garage light.
Okay, turning off the garage light.
See, so my garage light is now off. So it's super easy to do that, and it doesn't cost much either. This particular switch in Amazon, I can just show you. Let me pull. So if you go to Amazon and just type in Google Smart Switch, you'll see a whole bunch of them. And look here, $23.95. And you look at this particular model with a circle in the middle and a Wi-Fi signal on top, symbol on top. That particular style switch seems like a whole bunch of Chinese companies are selling those, and they're all exactly the same with subtle differences, and they work the same. So here's a company called Ladu that's selling the switch. If we scroll down, you would see TP-Link is a pretty good company that's selling another type. Let me scroll down. Here's another one that's exactly the same looking, by Liasi. This is exactly what I bought. And there's some subtle differences between these two. Initially, I thought there's no differences. Here's another one, Kaijin. I didn't buy from them, but they're all exactly the same if you look at it. And they work the same too. Here's the one, Liasi again. So basically, the difference I saw between this initial ones I bought from Ladu, here it is. So if you click on this, and let me just move, let me see if I can find the right picture to show you. Here it is. So if you look at this picture, this is exactly what I got. And if you look at it, there's a little tab on the back. You see that little tab here? And the problem was that prevented me from installing these switches in newer boxes. In other words, if the box is not big enough, if it's a retrofit box, in other words, somebody added on a circuit in your house, those wingy butterfly boxes, these switches didn't fit. You had to kind of cut the box out a little bit, grind it up to fit, or change the box to some other box, which involves a little more electrical, pulling all the wires, putting a new box, and then doing it. If you're not up for that, don't go for this particular one. On the other hand, when I ordered the same switch from this seller, Liasi, I got a slightly different version of the exact same switch. This one didn't have a tab. If you look in the back, it didn't have a tab. It was flat, just like this. So this fits perfectly fine in smaller boxes. So this is what I would recommend. And in order to get one of these, you need to make sure that you can use this in one of the switches. So before you go and buy one of these switches saying, oh, it's only 25 bucks, I'll just buy one, do one little homework, which is basically you need to make sure that your little switch here is compatible with one of those. And how do I know this? One of the requirements you see here in this diagram is your wiring should have a neutral, a line, a load, and a ground. Okay, most of the switches will have a line, load, and a ground, but sometimes a neutral may be missing. It depends on how the electrician ran the wire. They could have looped it from the source all the way down, or the source could be right in the switch, in this case where the neutral will be visible. So just to check that, all you have to do is open up this switch and make sure you have a neutral wire present. And the way to check that is basically just make sure there's a white wire along with the black wire and the ground wire. And let's just do that now. At least have some tools handy. A good flathead screwdriver, a nose plier, a wire crimp if possible, voltage detector, it squeaks when it detects voltage, and a good electrical tape. In this case I'm going to use my flathead screwdriver and take these off. So everyone knows how to take off one of these plates out. Go ahead and take 2 screws out. For safety, always turn off the circuit breaker before you do this. So once everything is off, pull it out, and here you can clearly see there's a black wire coming, which is your supply wire or the source, and then the black wire going out, which is your load wire that's controlling the light, and the bare wire is your ground. And if you look closely in the back, right over here is the white wire, which is the neutral. So in this case, I know that this particular switch can be replaced with that smart switch I have. The only confusion here is we don't know if this black wire is the load or this black wire is the load. The only way to test that is to actually turn on the circuit and put the voltage tester to actually see where the supply is coming when the switch is turned off. Okay, the circuit breaker is on now, so we are live. Here's my little squeaky toy, the voltage detector. All I have to do is turn it on, the little LED flashes, and if I bring it close by, it should beep, which tells me there's supply in this wire. And I try down the top wire, it's beeping, so it's all it's saying is switch is perfectly working. Now when I turn the switch off, this is beeping, this is not. A little bit, but not as bad as this one. See, there's supply here, no supply here. So that's what we need to detect first. And I need to mark it somehow with a tape or something to understand that this is the supply and this is the load wire. Bottom supply, top load. In my case, everybody's could be different. The reason we need to identify this is mainly because the smart switches do need to know which one is the load and which one is the supply. I'll put a little tape on the wire, that's the main supply wire. Alright, now I turned off the breaker and there shouldn't be any supply here. In order to test that, I turn on my meter and check these wires, no supply. Turn the switch on, test it again, no supply. So now it's safe to turn off and take off these switch. Alright, time to unwrap the new switch. So I open up the switch, There's a little, looks like a Decora switch. And if you notice, there's 4 terminals in the back. And there are some wordings on it. As you can see, it says N, which basically means neutral. I'm holding it upside down, sorry. N basically means neutral. And a ground. L means line, which is the source. And out. Out means which is your light or load or whatever. So as we marked with a little tape there, let's do the line first. So all I have to do, shorten this a little bit. I want extra wire sitting there touching each other. So basically stick that in and tighten it. So 2 of the 4 connections are done. Now we have a neutral and ground left. In order to do these, we cannot stick both these wires in there, so we're going to do a 3rd wire that goes from there to here. Remember, the switch doesn't come with any wire nuts. The extra wire off of the neutral. Now let's stick it in. Just to let you know, 12 gauge wire seems to work fine with the switch. One final piece of wire. Not a big deal, but just make sure the ground is also hooked up. Okay, give it a tug, give it a tug. So as you can see, all the wires are short and none of the terminals are exposed outside. Neutral, ground, line in, and line out. So all 4 wires hooked up. Now it takes a little skill to push everything back into the box. Be a little gentle, but at the same time strategically push them on different corners so there's enough room for this this particular switch to sit, which is important. All right, that's a snug fit. See how it fits? Let me just use a drill on this, put it on a clutch so you don't strip the screws. And you just go from the top, press down, and click the bottom. Done. So that's how you replace a switch. Now let me go turn on the breaker and test the functionality. Alright, the first thing to test here is to make sure the switch actually works. As you can see, a blue light is blinking, which tells me there's some electrical supply in the switch, so that's good. The breaker is turned on at this time, obviously. So touch it, lights on. Touch it again, lights off. So you just look at the instruction manual, which everybody hates reading. You need to scan one of these barcodes, and you can go to Play Store and download it. For Play Store, scan this. For iPhone, Apple products, scan this, and look at that, and the camera should, there you go. So a link comes up, App Cool Kit something something. So I click on that link. Basically downloads an app called Ewelink. There it is. So, and within this app, Um, it's pretty easy. Go ahead and download it yourself instead of all this going through scanning and stuff. It's just called Ewelink, Ewelink, the app. And then once you do that, once you download the app, you open the app, and what you do is you go to the switch. So what we do is, we got our phone with the app. In this case, I've already configured two other light switches, a garage light and a living room light. I'm going to configure this now. You see the thing blinking on the top? So what we do now is we press and hold for 5 seconds. And that blinking blue LED should turn 3 blinks at a time, kind of. So now it's in a pairing mode. Once it's in a pairing mode, all you do is, you add, hit the plus sign, and say quick pairing touch. So we did that, and you click next. It's asking for my Wi-Fi name and password. I'm not going to show it to you, but you basically punch it in here and then click next. One quick tip: that doesn't operate on 5 gigahertz, so it has to be on a 2.4. If you have a dual band router, make sure you keep the old 2.4 alive. So it takes a couple of minutes, not even that. So it basically registered that. Now give it a name. I'm going to call it under deck lights, and say complete. So it says added successfully. So I have a new tab now, says under deck lights. So if technically now I can operate this entire switch through my phone. I just click on this app, light turns on. I don't know if you saw that. And I click it again, light turns off. See? Okay, now we finally got all the switches. Let's say you just replaced 3 switches like I have here, the garage light, living room light. You can name them however you want, and you can turn on and off from your phone remotely. And before you go to bed, you can create a scene saying turn all the lights off or turn them on, the exterior lights on right about evening time, and then turn them back off at 9 o'clock or something like that. You can create automated scenes, everything within this app. To make it even more interesting, how do we hook this up to, there you go, the Google Hub? So it's super easy. Once you configure this app, the Google Home app, which will have a little home icon right here. So you basically click that, and within this app, it'll look pretty cluttered. You click on these 3 lines, and then you scroll down, and then you see something called home control right here. So you click on that, and within the home control, it'll tell you what you have in your home, Chromecast and all that stuff. But you add a device. This is what you do. You press this blue plus button, and it'll give so many choices, like the Nest thermostat, the cameras, and all the companies that are associated with Google, the Ecobee, and you'd recognize a whole lot of these. And in this case, what we are searching for is something called Smart Link or something like that. Not the Smart Life, but the Smart Ewelink, the one with the same icon. See? So what we do is we basically select that, and we are saying, so it'll take you to the same page, and what it's asking is basically select a region, United States, and this email and password is the same email and password that you created when you open that Ewelink app. So you punch in the same credentials. Let me go offline for a second. So you punch in the credentials and you say log in. So once you do that, it'll come saying linking, and here you go. So Google now knows the same exact setup. So your lights, whatever we set it up, are all showing up here. The only difference here is you assign certain room. For the garage, you basically say that's a garage, and for the living room, you say living room, deck. I just say backyard. So you basically assign some rooms. The reason you assign room is if there's more devices in the same room, like living room TV, living room lights, and a whole bunch of living room stuff, you can just say, hey, turn off the entire living room or something like that. So it'll do, and with backyard and deck and all that, you can say, turn on all the exterior lights in times of emergency or something like that. So it'll work. It's smart enough to know that. So basically press done, and assigning 3 devices to room, and we're all set. And it's giving some examples of what you can do. Now we got a Google Home right here. Let's test the scenario. The switch we just installed is right up here, as you can see. And let me say, what did we name that as? Under deck light, right? So we say, okay Google, turn on under deck light.
Okay, turning the underdeck lights on.
There you go. Seamlessly it turned on the light. I don't know if you noticed the lights came on. And I can also say, okay Google, turn off the underdeck light.
You got it, turning off the underdeck lights.
So that's how you can seamlessly go from controlling it through an phone app to completely hands-free voice control of a smart home. So to recap, all I did is I changed a switch with a smart switch. This is a simple smart switch from Amazon that's compatible with Google Home and Alexa. This can also work with Alexa. Just make sure the wiring has neutral along with the ground and the lead wires. And once you swap the switch, you download the app that's compatible with that particular switch and configure that app. You need to create an account for that app in order for that to operate, just for security's sake. And then you link your Google Home account to that particular switch account, and that way, with any Google device, you can control. Even with the Google Home Mini, you can control it as well. You can do the same with Alexa too. So for under $100, you could actually turn your house into a nice hands-free automated smart home by just putting a couple of lights and having Google Home Mini or Alexa Echo Dot, one of these guys. So there you have it. Enjoy. And okay Google, how did you like the video?
My favorite hobby is chatting.
All right, so it'll chat you to death. All right, see you in the next video.